Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Tax Matters. Taxes are important, very important for the survival of any nation. On Wednesday, 18th of March 2015, a new Ensman was appointed at the Federal Inland Revenue Service in person of Mr. Samuel Sunday Ogumbeso. And on May 29, President Muhammad Buhari will take over the mantle of leadership as the President of Nigeria. Today on Tax Matters, we want to share with you interviews which we conducted with business owners in Enugu at the beginning of March. These interviews were intended as feedback to give business owners a voice as taxpayers, with a view to getting the tax administrators to feel and appreciate the pains and, of course, the joy of the taxpayers. Now, we have decided that the views expressed in the interviews would very well serve as agenda setting for the new President, General Muhammad Buhari, and the new man at the helm of affairs of the FIRS, Mr. S.S. Ogumbeso. My name is Pius Christina.
And I'm Olumuyiwa Matuluko.
Here we go.
Every day, my people they for work. Some they do office work. Some get it them own business. So all of them want good road, constant power for better life. Whether now office work, oh yeah, pay your tax. Whether now your own business, oh pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility, pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook more. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, portable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
My name's Vincent Okeke. I'm a registered engineer and a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. And I'm the chairman of Intercolor.
Obviously, you produce paints here.
Yeah.
Now, in your line of business, what taxes are you liable to?
Of course, the corporate income tax, the VAT, which we collect on behalf of government and remit, and withholding tax, even though it's not much applicable to us because we're a small company and we don't do a lot of supply contracts. We try to buy a lot of our goods direct from the market to come down on the costs.
How do you pay over the VAT you collect from buyers, from your customers?
What we do is that at the end of every month, we try to reconcile our sales, of course, reconcile our purchases, and then we fill out the VAT form. We disclose our sales and the VAT we collected on behalf of government. And we also capture the VAT we paid upfront to our suppliers, and then we do the normal deductions, and whatever is the net, we try to pay to government before the 21st of the month following.
So you do that religiously every month?
Yes, we do.
That's commendable. How old is your company?
We've been producing now for 4 years.
Okay. So how do you go about fulfilling your obligations under the company's income tax law? You file annual returns?
We do, yeah, we do. In fact, we have up to 2013, we're up to date. We've filed all the returns, we've paid all the tax obligations. In fact, we've also been audited by the FIRS up to 2013. So what we have outstanding is 2014. And of course, we're still within the time frame. We are hoping to do our audit in a few weeks time. And as soon as that is done, we will call in our tax consultants, come and do the tax computations and do the appropriate filing to the tax authority.
When you say time frame, what do you mean?
I think we're allowed up to 6 months from our year end to be able to file our accounts to the tax authority. And our year end is 31st of December, and we are just in March. So I think we are still within the required time by the law.
That's true. You spoke about calling your consultants. So in dealing with the Federal Revenue Service, for example, you make use of consultants?
Yes, we do. We do, and the reason is that we want to be sure that we are fully compliant. You know, sometimes there are changes to the tax law, and since we are not in practice of taxation ourselves, we need people that are current, that can let us know exactly what we're supposed to do, because we want to do the right thing.
Do you deal with the state, the Enugu State Board of Internal Revenue?
We do.
Yeah, in what capacity?
Or remittance of pay-as-you-earn tax.
Okay.
Yes, and we do that on. In fact, before now, what we do is that we give them our payroll, and they do the tax calculations for us, and we pay it on quarterly basis. But you know, now they're advising us that it's better to pay monthly. So from this year, we have commenced monthly payments.
Yes. Good. So in dealing with the various tax authorities, the FRS, the State Board of Internal Revenue, what has your experience been like?
Well, I can tell you that sometimes it's very frustrating dealing with these people, especially because I think that government probably gives them targets. So when they come to you, you could see they're under pressure. And sometimes I ask them, I mean, you cannot come here to create taxes that don't exist. You are coming to do a tax audit and you already have a mindset, you want to realize 10 million to meet a target. I said, no, it's not right. You know, what we are coming to do is to look at our level of compliance, you know, and even if when a company is not compliant, I don't think it's really an offense. You have to try to get the company to comply. But when you now have a case of consistent non-compliance, that's when you can begin to say, these people are not willing to pay tax. But for a company that is going through the process, and you come to them and you see where they are failing, first of all, you should have to tutor them. You have to be sure that they have done that intentionally. So you need to find a way to relate with the companies. The tax officers are not policemen. Sometimes they pose that attitude of policing. And it's difficult because manufacturing, especially in Nigeria, is very tough. You know? So, and as they come chasing you for tax, you know, I'm worried about a lot of things, not just tax. I have people to pay salaries. You know, we have a workforce of nearly 100. Half of them are married. So you can imagine if in a month we are not able to run payroll and pay salaries. You see the ripple down effect. People cannot pay school fees for their children. So we expect them to show a lot of human face when they come. They should see us as partners, as people who are adding value to the economy. You know, and take it from there.
That's well said. What improvements can be made in the tax administration system to make life easier for the business owner in filing and in payment?
Well, first of all, I think the tax offices, the tax officers should form a habit of visitations, for instance. You know, if you have tax officers visiting companies, not for audits, not to come and chase taxes, but to come and see, to interact with you and see what problems are you having. How far have you gone? Have you remitted your tax for last month? What were your problems? Do you have cash flow problems? Because I tell you, sometimes, you know, there are companies that have loan facilities. So when you make sales, you don't collect cash. The money goes to your bank. Sometimes at the end of the month, there are a lot of obligations. You are struggling to pay salary. The banks are taking interest. They are taking back loan repayment and things like that. So if the tax people interact with the company, every company will have some peculiar problems. Interact with them, find out what their cash flow positions are, and then see how you can advise them. You could even advise, okay, don't wait for, you could pay somewhere, maybe gradually, or there must be a way. Because one thing is to say, yes, there's a tax liability. Another thing is to say, how do they pay? A company who is highly geared, they have a lot of loan, they start between your actual revenue and the tax revenue. The money is just coming back, and they grab the money. And government should not expect a company to fall down because they are running. So it should be a mutual kind of relationship where government sees themselves as indirect shareholders in the company. Because if I declare profit, they take 30%. So, I mean, they are an indirect partner, so they have to somehow, other than coming to collect the tax, find other ways of adding value to the taxpayer, so that the taxpayer will feel very comfortable, to be able to pay the tax.
I must say I'm not surprised. An engineer who is also an accountant, well-trained, well-informed, and very articulate. Engineer Okeke, when my children grow up, I want them to be like you. We move on. Dr. Ifeanyi Okoye is a household name in Enugu and indeed the whole of Eastern Nigeria. Dr. Okoye is the Chief Executive Officer of Juhel, another household name, and of course he is the President of the Enugu Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, SIMA. What does your company manufacture?
We manufacture pharmaceuticals, different types of pharmaceuticals, both orals and parenterals. And we are also into downstream petroleum business.
In those lines of businesses, what taxes are you liable to? Talking about your companies.
In my line of business, I'm liable to any form of taxes that is worth paying. In the first place, we pay PAYE, which is compulsory. We also pay the normal income tax from the company. However, for one of our companies, the parenteral sector, we are still on tax holidays because the federal government gave us tax holidays because it was like a feat for us to have been able to establish a factory of that nature where we are employing a lot of Nigerians.
Do you deal directly with the tax authorities or do you use consultants?
Oh, it all depends. We pay directly. We also use tax consultants. For the PAYE, we pay directly, because it's a regular monthly affair as far as we are concerned. For the income tax, most cases we use consultants so that we should be able to have an adequate calculation and be able to pay what we are supposed to pay.
How have you found your dealings with the tax authorities? What has your experience been like?
Before now, it's been a little bit difficult. But in recent times, I think the organization is more refined, better refined, and their approach is also more interesting in the sense that they tend to now educate the businesses around and advise them on how to go about the remittance of their taxes. I would say that the relationship with us, which I believe should be same with most companies within the southeastern part of the country, is still the same. They have brushed up a little bit. The approach is more acceptable than it used to be. In recent times, their level of education to the public, which they also do through the media, is making people to be better aware and better prepared for payment of their taxes. However, in developing countries like ours, tax payment is not that easy because of the environment where we operate. You know that as well as I do. There are a lot of factors that make it difficult for people to pay taxes.
Which are some of those factors, sir?
A lot of factors. Nigeria particularly is one country where the essential infrastructures are never available. If you are a manufacturer like I do, most cases you provide your own security to your factories. You provide roads to your factories. Of course, the energy you need to work are never available. You have to provide all those issues. For tax collection, for tax payment to be smooth and acceptable, the government is supposed to provide all those things. The lights shouldn't be in question. The roads shouldn't be in question. The security should never be in question. And of course, the business environment must be acceptable to everybody. Sitting here, I'll tell you that all the business I do in the northeastern part of the country are gone, completely gone. Before now, I know that within the northern eastern part of the country, we make a lot of sales. But due to the problems we have there, that one is completely cut off. So if all these essential factors are being provided by the government, like I said, security, light, and all that, tax payment is smooth and easy. Whatever you earn, you are supposed to pay a percentage of that. Some countries, like you know, survive only on taxation. What people pay after earning money is part of your earnings, and you are supposed to pay part of it to the government.
Apart from the issues of infrastructure, lights, good roads, security, in the area of filing your returns, making the payments, what would you want done to make it easier for business owner to fulfill those obligations, filing and payments?
What you're saying is believing that all those other problems are solved.
Yes. I mean, taxes must be paid anyway, so...
Taxes must be paid, I agree with you. Yes. However, you collect tax where you know the essential factors for the businessman to operate are there readily available. How do you collect tax in the real sense of it, talking about it? How do you go to collect tax when you know somebody is buying diesel to operate his generator, and the money he could have maybe paid for the tax is even tripled in the cost of purchasing the diesel? I don't know what I mean. That's where we are going. But where everything is okay, you know, in science you say under normal temperature and pressure. Under normal temperature and pressure, I mean, nobody will not want to pay his tax. You won't even need to pursue anybody. In terms of filing and all that, I believe that most offices have a department that takes care of their tax issues. Outside that, also, the consultants could also assist. And recently, what the Federal Inland Revenue Services did was to make sure they have key offices in all states of the Federation. In Enugu, I know they've opened almost 2-3 offices within Enugu. That makes it, accessible, easier for people. It's a good setup. So people can easily walk in and pay their taxes. So it's easy, but what we are saying is, no problem paying tax, but taxes will come smoother to the government if government provides the essential infrastructures for the operation of the businesses. I hope you get what I'm saying.
If you ask me, I think the incoming administration has its hands full of work to do.
They sure do. Mr. Frederick Chigbata Okonkwo is an entrepreneur in the metal construction industry.
What products do you manufacture?
Yes, ceiling. Most of the building products of metal products, metal.
Who are your customers?
Our customers ranges from private individuals, state and federal government parastatals.
Okay. In your line of business, what do you know as your tax obligations? What taxes are you liable to?
We pay taxes for some of our staffs, and we pay company tax.
Who do you pay company tax to?
We pay to Federal Revenue.
Who do you pay that on your staff to?
We pay to states.
So, sir, in dealing with the tax authorities, you have told us you deal with the FIRS, you deal with the State Board of Internal Revenue. How have you found the experience?
Well, the experience has been okay right from time. Even before we got registered with CSC, we have been dealing with the State Tax Authority. They have been cooperative. It's now much easier. In the late 80s and early 90s, we find it very difficult even to pay the tax because we don't have office within Enugu. It's either you go to Abuja or you go to Owerri. But now we have an office here in Enugu. You get to that place, they equally assess you, and you pay. With the experience I have with them, the last 2-3 years, my tax, I've not been having any problem. You go there, they will go through your records, ask you some few questions, and they confirm what you may have said, and you pay your tax. Like right now, I have my 2014 tax clearance certificates. If I had known you are coming today, I've maybe shown it to you. And I've even called my accountant for this year's tax clearance certificate, because we are now into state government projects. And if you don't have this, you don't update your tax, you'll not be partaking in most of the government contracts and projects. So we are not finding any much problem from federal area revenue. The area where I can say we're having a little problem from that of states, because we are paying tax many ways. When you look at the money they demand from you, you discover they're all hinged on tax, but they'll be given different names. So we are being overcharged in the states, because you pay environment, you pay permits, you pay more than many of them. And as far as I'm concerned, all of them are hinged into tax, and you still pay them tax.
They say there are charges. There are user levies and charges.
So they come, they say you pay environment for this environment. They say you pay for cleaning the environment. You pay environment differently. You pay cleaning different. You pay welder's permit for being a welder, operating as a welder. So when you calculate the amount you pay to states.
Like how much? Is it per month or per year?
No, it's per annum.
Like how much?
Some are 5,000. Some are less than that, some are more.
Okay. But you know there are user charges. If you are not a welder, they won't come to you to take welder permit. They won't.
But that permit is a tax. That's what I'm saying. That's the way I see it. Because that welder's permit is not tagged to current. It's not tagged to any other infrastructure. Just the permit for you to operate as a welder is a tax.
Do you pay cash or do you pay to the banks?
No, all these things you pay to bank, you don't pay anybody cash.
So we take it that you are happy.
We are happy. The only happiness we have is that the government is working very well. The government of Enugu State, in fact, they have changed the system in such a way that we were enjoying the whole thing. Because before now, even to deliver your finished products at times, you won't find a good vehicle. If you bring this one, you say the tire is bad. This one, the brake is not because of bad road. But now, it's easier, much easier. We have smooth roads and other improved infrastructures.
That's good. You spoke about contracts, about state jobs and all that. Do you file VAT returns, value-added tax?
VAT, of course. Is it not VAT?
Yes.
Of course. VAT and tax, they go together.
How often do you file tax?
As much as you pay your tax, as much as you get job. As many jobs as you get, you pay VAT.
But are you aware that VAT returns is supposed to be filed every month?
If you get jobs every month, you do it. But
no, like you should file, even if it is nil. No, you file nil return.
At times you fight for a job for a whole year, you manage to get once. And it's until you get a job before you begin to pay for tax and VAT.
I'm saying that for VAT, it is not like that. You are supposed to file every month, even if it is nil return. You are supposed to file.
To be honest with you, because this is a learning process, it has not been like this right from time. Okay. We are paying as we get, pay as you go. But as you come now, maybe we will begin to cultivate the habit of paying every month.
Yes. So finally, sir, what will make you, or what will you think will make it easier for business owners like you to be able to fulfill their tax obligations?
I think what we are already doing, what we are doing so far, is not very far away from the actual thing. But the only thing is that we are saying that we are getting state government incentives from the tax we pay. But federal government own, we are not seeing.
What do you mean by that?
I'm telling you now, federal government presence is scarce here. It's very scarce here.
Sure.
What they are doing for us in returns to the tax we pay to federal government. In this Enugu, I can say you don't compare that to that of states.
Are you aware, sir, that companies' income tax, value-added tax, that they go into a pool and they are distributed to the states, that for some of the states, that monthly money from the federation account is even higher than the state internally generated revenue. Are you aware of that, sir?
Okay, I wouldn't know.
That money that your state government is using, part of it, yes. Because the federal tax is distributed among the states and local governments.
If that is the case, it means the money comes to this place. I've told you that state government is performing. But I was expecting the one they will say, this one is federal government is doing this one for us. Like we say housing or electricity or water If they say this project is from federal government, they want to put water in all communities, we know. We say this is part of our tax. But most of these things we are seeing from the state. So if you are sending the money to the state, it means the state is doing their job. They are using it for the purpose with which you give it to them.
We agree with you that there can be federal projects so tagged. But we are also saying, for the records, that all the states, not only your own state, all the local governments, that every month there's what we call federation accounts that they take money from. VAT, company's income tax, petroleum profit tax, all the federal taxes are shared among the 3 tiers of government. That does not take away the fact that there can be projects executed by the federal government directly and tagged like that, yes. But for your state, for your local governments, that money that they use in doing whatever they do, a large chunk of it is from the taxes that you pay.
It's not clear to me.
What goes round comes round. One thing that comes out clearly here is that government projects need to be well publicized without undue jostling for preeminence among the different tiers of government.
Yeah, without undue rivalry.
That is saying it as it is.
We want to thank you most sincerely for watching and do have a blessed week ahead.
Thank you for watching. Bye for now.